Hello and welcome. Today we are going to look at something that could be life-changing for you. You probably have noticed you really connect with some people. There's a high level of comfort and synergy between you. However, others just rub you the wrong way. You just don't seem to be on the same wavelength, and misunderstandings are more common. Today we will help you understand yourself and others, allowing you to function more effectively in the world.
Before we go any further, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Susan Geary, and this is Anne Bulstrode. We have been helping people understand themselves and others for over 20 years. We are both Master Personality Dimensions facilitators. We are also the best-selling authors of Color Savvy, Helping You Achieve Success in Your Work Life, and the soon-to-be released book, Your Personality Unlocked, Living Life to Its Fullest. So today, we are going to introduce you to 4 different personalities. As far back as the Greeks and Romans, different cultures have been able to identify 4 personalities, and these have been refined and built upon right up to the present day. We will use colored names to refer to these 4 personalities. These names come from Personality Dimensions, which is a Canadian personality assessment tool. The names we are going to use are Inquiring Green, Resourceful Orange, Organized Cold, and Authentic Blue. You will notice that the first word of each color really helps us understand what that color is all about. Also, from now on, we will use the term color rather than personality or dimension. Now, everyone is a blend of the 4 colors. We are all plaid. What we mean by that is we use each of the colors to a greater or lesser degree.
You're so right, Susan. And we usually prefer one or more colors, which means the hue of our plaid will vary based on the order of our preferred colors. Now, it's important to remember all 4 colors are equally good. All of them have strengths, and they all have some challenges as well. It is possible to be anything in life from any preferred color. It's just the way you do it may look a little different. If we look at medicine, for example, resourceful oranges are often attracted to being ER doctors because they like moving from patient to patient and not knowing what or who will walk through the door next. Our organized golds and authentic blues often choose to be general practitioners. The golds because they like the order and routine that general practice can offer them, and the blues because they like getting to know their patients and helping them on an ongoing basis. And then our inquiring greens. They're often drawn to the fields of neurology or psychiatry because they like understanding how the brain works. They look at the brain as what controls the overall human system. PD is a great tool, but you have to remember it doesn't explain everything in life. However, it certainly can explain why people do the things they do. And I like to believe that if we all truly understood PD, we could actually be closer to achieving world peace. By understanding the 4 colors, we are better able to understand our own strengths and challenges. We are also better able to understand those in the world around us. We can recognize and understand their strengths, challenges, and preferred ways of doing things.
And it's a great tool because it helps improve our communications with others and build strong relationships with people. It's also good because it helps us realize that differences are gifts, not faults.
Now, what I'd like to do is take you through a little exercise that might help explain what preferences are a little bit better. So, step 1, I'd like you to sign your name on a piece of paper as you normally would. How did that feel? I bet it was easy, and you probably didn't even have to think about it. It just came naturally. Now, step 2, I'd like you to put the pen in the other hand and sign your name again. How did that feel? I bet it wasn't quite so easy, and you probably had to really think about what you were doing. Well, the first time you signed your name, it was easy because that's your brain's preferred way of doing it. Just like your brain has a preferred way of signing your name, it has a preferred way of doing everything that you do. Your preferred color helps to explain why you do things the way you do. And just like the second time you signed your name, it was a bit more difficult because you were using your brain in a way that wasn't its preferred way of doing it. But you were still able to do it, and with practice, it would get easier and easier. Your lesser preferred colors are the same. They are not your most comfortable way of doing things, But with practice, it becomes easier and easier to tap into them. Now, Susan will explain this a little bit more to you.
Yes, it's likely that we come into this world with a leaning towards a key or preferred color, and we are then drawn to develop the skills and competencies that go along with that color. We're going to call that our true self. Also, over time, we develop skills and behaviors associated with some of the other colors. For example, we may have a parent that differs from us in that they are very well organized or a great listener, and then we start practicing and developing these skills. This we're going to call our learned self. Additionally, as we all know, we have to adapt to different situations throughout the day. So we use the skills that we've learned to adapt to each specific situation. For example, in my workday, I might be a facilitator, then a researcher, then a consultant. When we act according to the needs of the moment, we are using our situational self. In a moment, we are going to describe the four colors. You will find that you will relate to parts of all of the descriptions. That's normal. However, you will probably find that there are one or two that resonate with you more. As we describe them, it might be useful for you to identify your true self, as that is likely where you feel most comfortable, and it may have been one of the factors that have helped you succeed in life. So, as we describe each color, ask yourself, where do I feel most comfortable? When my shoes are off and you're resting on the sofa, who are you? So first, let's look at the inquiring green. Okay, so if you are an inquiring green, you value being competent and being seen that way by others. It's very hard for an inquiring green if they don't feel competent, and they like to work with other competent people. Inquiring greens have an ongoing quest for knowledge. They are lifelong learners, always seeking to learn something new or get a new qualification. They're also logical problem solvers, especially with complex problems. Many of us will find complex problems too hard and give up, but inquiring greens will keep working at it until they get to the root cause of the problem. They are also big picture, conceptual thinkers. They see the forest, not the individual trees. They bring a healthy skepticism to situations. They will ask why you want to do things a certain way or point out a hole in your logic. They also bring a calmness to situations. They have worked hard to present this outward calm, but it doesn't mean they don't have emotions. They just won't show them to you. They enjoy new challenges, and in that sense, they really are change agents, bringing innovation to family or work life. Now, my inquiring green friends can find social situations uncomfortable, they tell me. For example, the office party. They tell me they feel very uncomfortable when they have to go up to somebody they don't know and have small talk. They will find it much more enjoyable when they find somebody who they know has the same interests as them, bird watching, theoretical physics, politics, and they can have a real in-depth conversation at that point. Anne's going to share an example of an inquiring green.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, an example of an inquiring green I know is a friend that we took sailing for the first time. It quickly became obvious he was uncomfortable because he'd never been sailing before and he felt that he didn't know what was going on. He was used to being in control, being the person that people went to for how to do things. And in this situation, that's not who he was. We knew what to do, but he didn't feel confident, which was very uncomfortable for him. Later in the season, he came out sailing with us again, but by then he'd had time to do his research. He knew all the terminology we were using and the maneuvers and how to tie the knots, etc. It was very obvious he felt much more competent and therefore more comfortable. Now what I'd like to do is talk to you about the resourceful oranges. For them, it's all about freedom. They like to do things their own way and on their own timelines. They enjoy variety and action. They don't like repetitive tasks or having to sit still while they do something. They are highly adaptable, and we will often call them the chameleons because it's almost hard to determine what color they are because they easily demonstrate the behaviors of all the colors. They will work tirelessly to develop a skill or behavior. However, unlike the greens who don't like to be seen as incompetent, the oranges don't mind practicing on you while they develop it. They don't have the same fear of being seen as incompetent. To them, it's all about part of the learning process. They are masterful negotiators and promoters. We often call them the wheelers and dealers, and they're very good at sales and influencing others. They're very practical problem solvers and troubleshooters. They like having to solve problems on the fly. They don't mind just whatever you throw at them, they're happy with it. This actually energizes them. Generally, they take a lighthearted attitude towards life. They tend to live in the moment. What happened in the past is the past, and they don't really worry about what the future will bring. It's just making the best of where they are right now. They can be risk takers. Now, normally the risks they take are very calculated. They are very good at almost seeing the next move, what's going to happen next in terms of, if you think of a chess game, they very good chess players because they can see not just the next move, but 3 or 4 moves down the road. However, when they become stressed or out of esteem, as we call it, they're more likely to take risks that aren't so calculated, and these can get them into trouble. Susan's now going to give you an example of an orange.
Yes, I work with somebody who is a resourceful orange, and when she's asked to do a task, she much prefers it if she's told what the end result should be, and she's then given the freedom to decide how to do it. I've also noticed that she is willing to take risks. For example, she's quite happy to tell her manager that she disagrees with her, but she's willing to take any consequences of that. So now we're going to look at the organized gold. And the most important thing about organized goals is that they want to belong. They want to belong at home, they want to belong in the community, and they want to belong at work. They value duty and responsibility, and they will always do what they said they were going to do, and they expect you to do the same. They have excellent planning and organizing skills. You will see it in their neat home and well-organized office space. And at work, we often rely on those excellent planning and organizing skills. They also have sound judgment and common sense. I always go to my organized gold friend if I have a problem that I want to talk over, because I know she'll give me a common sense answer. They are also dependable, hardworking, and loyal. They're also cooperative. They like working with others and they like being part of a team. They also like to uphold traditions at work, home, and in the community. Likely, if they were brought up with certain traditions in the home, they'll keep them going as an adult. Because of their high standards, they can be critical of themselves, which is hard on them, but also critical on others, which is, of course, sometimes hard on other people. Anne has an example of an organized gold.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, I have a friend who's an organized gold. And as we talked about, they're all about tradition and upholding traditions. Well, she has a box of decorations for every different holiday, whether it be Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day. It doesn't matter. She decorates for all of them. Now, it's not just the fact that she decorates for all of them, but that she brings out the same decorations each year. She likes to live those traditions over and over again each year. And these things all have really special meanings to her. Now, what I'd like to do is take a look at the authentic blues. The authentic blues value self-actualization, not only for themselves, but for other people as well. They strive for meaningful relationships. When a blue becomes your friend, chances are they're going to be your friend for life. They often excel in communicating with others. They're fantastic listeners. They're very good at really hearing what people have to say and very good at reading between the lines. They can read the body language of a person, and they're very good at expressing themselves, whether it be through writing or verbally, it doesn't matter. They're very good at expressing themselves. They also have a sixth sense when it comes to reading people. They're able to, as I mentioned, they're able to read between the lines, and they truly understand what other people are saying. They're at their best when identifying and developing the potential of others. They are always looking for a way to help people become their best possible selves. Now, authentic blues don't like conflict, and they'll actually go out of their way to avoid it. However, they are very good at mediating conflict. And I think this is because they are so very good at reading people, reading the body language, really hearing what people are saying. And then they're able to bring those two people together and come up with a win-win solution. They work well with conceptual information, and they can see the big picture. But like the greens, they will tend to see the forest and not the trees, which can sometimes mean that they will miss details. They tend to be very creative, imaginative, intuitive. Often a blue will tell you they know how something's going to happen or that it's going to happen, and usually it does. Or they'll walk into a room and they're able to sense what's going on right away. They just know it, they just feel it. They can also be overly sensitive to criticism and conflict. I always say be kind to blues because they tend to take criticism to heart. So if you are going to deliver some kind of criticism to an authentic blue, please be sure to do it in a constructive manner. And if possible, start off with something positive, then give the criticism, and then try to finish with something positive. Now, Susan's going to give you an example of an authentic blue friend of hers.
Yes, I have an authentic blue friend who is an excellent communicator. She seems to get her point across in a way that doesn't upset other people. And she listens very well and always seems to know when another person is upset and what to do about it. I must say, though, she waits a little too long to manage conflict, but when she does, she usually handles it very effectively and in a win-win way. So, the next thing that we're going to look at, which is an important aspect of communication, is the difference between introversion and extroversion. Now, personality dimensions uses Jung's definition, which is about where you get your energy from. It's not about people skills. You can be great with people as an introvert or an extrovert. Equally, you can be terrible with people as an introvert or an extrovert. So let's look at the differences between extroversion and introversion and see if you can decide where you fit in. First of all, let's look at the extroverts. And extroverts seek energy from the outside world of people and doing things. They tend to problem solve out loud, and they will say whatever is on their mind and sort of verbally brainstorm. And they definitely tend to be energized by working with others. So if in a business sense they're working with others, they love that give and take. They throw out an idea, another person throws out an idea, and they brainstorm backwards and forwards. If they go to a party, it's also likely they'll feel energized. And they are seen as enthusiastic. How do they do that? Well, they use their body language, their tone of voice, and their words to convey enthusiasm. So Anne's now going to look at the introverts.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, so the introverts really are the opposite of the extroverts. And someone who's an introvert tends to seek their energy from within themselves. They need that time alone to recharge their batteries. They also process their thoughts internally. So where the extroverts like to verbally brainstorm with other people, I say that the introverts are having the same conversation as the extroverts are having, but it just goes on in their head. They're doing both sides of the conversation inside. So when they do share their ideas, they're usually well thought out and fully thought out. Also, they are energized by working alone. They're quite capable of working with others, but they find it more energizing to either work alone or just with one or two other people. And introverts tend to be seen as being somewhat calmer than extroverts. They almost bring a tranquility to situations. Now, I like this cartoon. I think it really sums up the differences between introverts and extroverts. On the one side, you've got the person who's sort of sweating and saying, I'm going to a party tonight. And then on the other side, you've got the person who's really celebrating, I'm going to a party tonight. So to me, that is to say, just really sums up the introvert and extrovert. Now, that almost brings us to the end of our session today. I'm going to pass you back to Susan, who's going to sum things up for us.
Thanks, Anne. So we hope you've come away with a better understanding of yourself, both in terms of your preferred color and whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. We also hope that you're proud of the strengths that you bring to the table and are aware of the challenges that you might want to work on. Hopefully, you've also realized that while you may have a preferred color, we are all plaid. We use each of the colors to a greater or lesser extent. Now, we don't always like everything about the people in our daily lives, but the truth is, by better understanding them, we will gain insight into why people behave as they do. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get along with them better now that we get them. At the very least, hopefully you will walk away with a better understanding of why we are all different.
Thanks, Susan. And we hope the session today has really piqued your interest and that you'd like to learn more about what we do and more about personality dimensions and how you can make use of it in all aspects of your life. So if you'd like to find out more about us, please feel free to check out our website, upyourpotential.com, or drop us an email at info@upyourpotential.com, and we'd be happy to set up some time to chat with you. You can also find us on our Facebook group. It's a public group and it's called Up Your Potential. And as Susan mentioned at the start of the session, we have our two books, the first one being Color Savvy, Helping You Achieve Success in Your Work Life, which is currently available, and the soon to be released book, Your Personality Unlocked, Living Life to Its Fullest. Thanks for joining us today, and we really look forward to connecting with you in the future.